Hello, welcome to Heart Standard. My name is Craig Cairns. I'm joined by Joel Sked, and we are here to talk about the team news ahead of Hearts versus Aberdeen this weekend. There was some big news regarding some players. We will get to that later. First of all, how are you doing, Joel?
I'm good. Yeah. I am. I was struggling earlier on, but I am. I'm a lot better. I'm a lot better now. So, yeah,
I
good.
can say the same actually. I woke up feeling like pretty bad this morning and a bit of a late start. Didn't really get going, truth be told, and definitely feeling a bit better. But that's what this illness has been like. It's been horrible when I wake up in the mornings, and it's kind of slowly eased over the day. But I was flagging towards the end of last night, and on that subject, how did you enjoy our event with an evening with Derek McInnes and then our special guest Colin Cameron?
I really enjoyed it. Well, firstly, a massive thanks to anyone who did come along and was there last night. I think everyone I've spoken to was really positive about it, and I thought they would get a lot out of it just because. Just with us, because we deal with Derek McInnes on a weekly basis, whether it's press conferences, chatting to him, and he always speaking with very much my Hearts fan and my Hearts hat on rather than a professional hat on. He always makes me feel really good about Hearts and the direction that Hearts are going in, and I think that came across last night, and people who weren't there might wonder why we've maybe not recorded it or we've not written anything on the back of it. It's just that it was one of those where everyone was kind of told it was a candid. It was like a candid talk, so just everyone was able to speak openly, and that's just to make everyone feel comfortable. And I think that came across, and I just really enjoyed it. Both Colin Cameron, his insight into 97, 98, some of his stories, and then Derek McInnes just speaking on various subjects. And it was one of those where we asked him various different topics, and there was a few topics from the crowd, and I think he answered everything openly and honestly as well. I think he got a lot of real honesty from him, and yeah, I was really pleased with it. And I think everyone, it was similar to when we went to the Foundational Hearts one at the start of this season. You came away from there really positive about this season, and really positive about the managerial appointment, and then it's taken on from there, and you came away feeling really positive about the rest of the season. Injuries notwithstanding, but the running and just that belief that he is he's the right man to take Hearts forward, especially this end of the season.
Yeah, and he had actually earned his standing ovation onto the stage this time as well, unlike the 90 minutes event that he had done earlier in the season, or
Oh yeah,
on the eve of the season, the eve of the league season.
Because we were that was the thing. So we when we were speaking beforehand, we kind of just talked about that and forgot to mention that to Derek McInnes when his first. I'll take it as sweary, but the first thing he said in the foundation was, "I've not even won a game yet."
Yeah,
but
exactly.
no, he's won plenty. He's won plenty.
It's won the vast majority. Yes.
Sorry, I was just going to flip it back to you. Was there anything that really stood out from some of the stuff that, like he said, that you found insightful, or really that maybe you weren't overly aware of going into it?
Like you, I think it was good to get him in an environment where he can speak a bit more candidly. I think he really knows how to play these events. I think he just knows how to play the media in general. He's been around the block, and he's very good at giving bits of insight. He's good at cracking a few jokes, and he's good at getting messages across without coming across as like preachy, condescending. And there was stuff about like what he wants from the fans. I mean, he didn't put it that way, but it's like what he wants from the fans between now and the end of the season. It's like to give encouragement to these players. What I liked, what he said was he knows that his squad is full of young men who all have phones, and they'll all see the comments that are made about them, unlike maybe previous generations that wouldn't see a lot of the pub chat that was said about them. But this is all online now, and they have devices, and we'll see them. I sound like a da saying that, and we'll see all this. So just to maybe like think about that before you're doing it. And same goes with when you're in the stadium, to encourage as much as you can, and then maybe keep the criticism to a minimum. And he wasn't saying like don't criticize. You can criticize performances and all that kind of stuff, but just there's a way to do these things, and there's times when it's not productive. So I like that. I like some of the Jamestown insights we sort of got with the around substitutions and things like that. I thought it was really good. And also, just before I forget, I want to also echo what you said. Thank you to everybody who came along. The support's brilliant. Chatted to a few people afterwards. I would have made more of an effort than I did, but if I wasn't feeling ill. So apologies if you didn't get the chance and you did want to. But same with you, Joe. It was all positive. Everybody was very, very complimentary and seemed to enjoy their night. I got a couple of questions about this picture, which anybody can help. I was asking like where you could actually get them. I don't know if they're completely out of production or whatever, but I inherited mine from my dad, so I don't know where to get them. So if anybody can help with that, I think there was something else. But yeah, was any other kind of insight from McInnes that you enjoyed?
I think the stuff about the stuff about substitutions, and it wasn't just he talked about his substitutions from his own view as well, and just I thought that was really like insightful. He kind of just he made a jibe against himself where he was talking about people maybe think I'll leave, and there's maybe, and it might be correct that I'll leave substitutions too long. But
well, I made a jibe at that point because I said, "Oh, at half time."
Yeah, but I think because we've talked about it. Usually, when he makes substitutions, it's either at half time where something's gone wrong, or it's just not working out. And he kind of talked about that where there's times where you maybe just the opposition, and I think he referenced one of the Rangers games. The opposition have a setup that he just doesn't expect. So it sometimes forces it at halftime changes, or he tends to make substitutions at 70 minutes onwards, and it just reflects. He kind of just reflected back on the fact that he's picked a team that's to win the game, and in a way you're just like, I get his where he's coming from in terms of let that team win the game. Like it's picked for the reason. So maybe even if they don't win the game in 55 minutes, they should still get an extra. They should get more time to win the game, if that makes sense. That game plan to come to fruition. So I thought that was really insightful. I like you just in terms of what he wants from the fans, and he said that it's like he talked about. It was like he can't. Some fans just are like maybe not wired in the way to come stand and shout and sing for 90 minutes, but just with where they are, and just it's fine being like it's fine being critical and looking back at stuff, but he just echoed that he wants everything to be so supportive, because that's what the team needs between now and then the end of the season. There, it's not going to help with negativity. It's not going to help praise, and support's going to help Hearts get over the line. It's 10 games to go, so that was a big one, and I think he has been. I think he has been happy with the support and the everything around it. Just that I think he does know that there's maybe could do more. And I suppose he got asked a question from the floor about the academy. I thought his answer was interesting on Kieran McMeekin, but I thought it was a wider point than just Hearts. It's a Scottish football. He talked about wider issue about Scottish football and losing players to England. I thought that was really interesting, in that it's like it's really, really difficult to keep players because of the finances involved down there. He talked about the agents, and he did. It was like, I don't think he was being critical of agents. I think he kind of just said the agents were just doing their job, and their job of certain agencies was to get young players
within 2 years or something, get them down. Like we take you on within 2 years, get you in England, basically where the money is. So that's it. It's not even. It sounds like it's more getting them into that system for the sake of it, rather than getting them the right move. It doesn't sound great. And I'm not saying that about Kieran McMeekin, by the way. He's obviously going to one of the top academies. You could barely get a better team for him to be going to in terms of where you can go to learn your stuff. But in general, it seems like It seems like secondary. That's what it sounded like from the little that we kind of gathered from what McInnes was saying. It seems like whether the move's the right one for the player seems to be secondary to getting them into the system and the money that they will then make.
And on McMahon, he did say about McMeekin is like it's one of those where he could see him. He could have seen him being a first team player potentially this season, but certainly next season.
He couldn't even play for the B team.
Yeah, he's turned 16 last week or earlier this month. I can't remember the exact date. He was training with not training. It was like he was part of the match day squad on Saturday without being part of the match day squad. He was training with it. He was warming up with the team like Alfie Osborne did a couple of weeks ago. So he was there, and he's clearly a big fan of Kieran McMeekin. He's played him in a lot of bounce games. Yeah, even when he has been 15. So yeah, that's one where again I can see where the player's coming from. I've got not critical of the player making the move down south. It's to Man City. You can completely understand it, but it's just from a Hearts perspective, it's a wee bit disappointing that we don't get to see this player that came through the academy at first team level. Aside from that, just two other bits that I was going to pick out was. I can't remember one of them. The other one was, one of them was, but we kind of asked him, when did you think you get the feeling that something was going to be, this season was going to be special? And he kind of said October. He started talking to players about, I don't think he was saying, we're going to win the league in October, but I think he said that they could do something special in October once they sure
Tony Brown said to me a couple of months ago, or maybe even just not as long ago as that, that he reckoned that maybe around November or something privately. I'm sure he said something like that to me recently, that he thought that maybe around November they would have been thinking privately, we can maybe do this. Like there's something can maybe happen here. And that would make sense given that was, at that point, it was like still unbeaten and coming like winning in all different sorts of ways and things like that. It was all these sort of really good players, new players in form and all those sort of things. Can I just before you give the last one, just want to add to the subs thing that we were talking about. I don't think we fully explained it. The interesting part about it, and what I'd say about it, it doesn't sound like Derek McInnes is completely guided by Jamestown. It seems like he takes it into part of his thinking rather than, he doesn't completely dismiss what Jamestown tells him, and he doesn't completely go with everything that Jamestown says, but it feels like he takes it into his thinking. And it sounded like from what he was saying that it gives him a wee bit of a different thought process on his subs, because what Jamestown think is that a lot of subs are made now. Jamestown, a lot of their models to do with being analytical, taking the emotion out of everything, and it sounds like from what McInnes is saying, I'm reading between the lines a wee bit here, but it sounds like he was saying that a lot of subs, or Jamestown think a lot of subs, are made like on a whim or in reaction to something that's happened in the game or done on an emotion or something like that, whereas a lot of the time you're just weakening your team. Because you've picked those 11, going back to what you said earlier, you start with those 11 players for a reason. So a lot of the time you're weakening your team on the basis of something that's like, it could be just like a stroke of luck that happens in a game or a decision or something like that. And when really the best thing to do is to stick with your team. So it sounds like that's maybe entered McInnes's thinking a bit, although he still has been very much like he has been in his career this season in terms of these substitutes. I don't think he's done anything drastically different because of Jamestown, but it sounds like it at least plays a part in his thinking now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's just sensible. We're just like it's just someone taking in all bits of information. I think that's and then making informed decisions. That's the best way to do it. Last thing I was going to mention was we asked him about how much he's enjoyed the challenge. I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but just like the difference of managing such a kind of diverse squad, and just he was really effusive in like just how much he's enjoying it, just with like kind of players coming in and different characters. And I think that's been it could, from the outside looking in, you could easily just go, that's going to be, with a big squad and a diverse squad, it's going to be quite hard to manage. But that, again, I go back to, I think that's one of the biggest success elements of success this season. Well, there's loads of elements of success and factors behind the season, but one of McInnes' biggest achievements, one of the things that's pushed Hearts to where we are just now, is that everyone's together, and I think the squad's togetherness has been massive, and it's like that togetherness feeds into the crowd, and it all just builds together momentum, one another, and going forward. And I think that will be both the crowd being together with the team being together with each other, a big thing. And I don't like saying getting Hearts over the line, because it just feels like it's I don't want to say negative connotations, but just strengthening our position at the top of the league, and adding real strength going into the final bit of the season.
Yeah, I've heard certainly not from people of a Hearts persuasion, but like some people saying that nobody's going to win this league, like just teams are going to lose it.
We've been top for 1150 days. We're winning.
F you. Just other teams getting their excuses ready. Yes, McInnes there was quite open about and honest about how he's predominantly been UK and Irish in the past, and this was a new thing to him. And that was one of the things that I personally, and I'm sure I said at the time, thought it was overplayed, but that was one of the criticisms about the appointment from some of the doubters, was that would he be able to manage foreign players? As if there's some sort of mystical being that plays football differently.
I think he's I don't want to. I think it was maybe paraphrasing a bit, but boys are boys. So it's just they're just football players.
That's it. Football players love their football. It was something along those lines. Yeah. Anyway, it's taken us a wee bit of time to get to this, but thank you to everybody for joining us. I haven't looked yet, but please get your comments in, and we will.
So I've been keeping an eye on it.
Many as we can. Joe's been monitoring them. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to everybody who has already. We've recently got past 5,000, and if you do like what we do, get over to heartstandard.co.uk, or you can download our app. We think that's the best way to enjoy our content. And Heart Standard is brought to you by Campbell Muir. Campbell Muir is a premium search firm challenging the status quo in the UK and US insurance markets. Working with senior insurance professionals globally, they focus on placing elite talent into some of the world's top insurance brokerages. They are scaling fast and are always looking for high caliber recruiters in Scotland to help build something exceptional. You can find them at www.campbell-muir.com. Right, Joe, let's talk about the main talking point. I know we'll come back to something else that was both spoken about in the press conference today and spoken about last night at our event. But let's talk about the team news ahead of Hearts versus Aberdeen. Couple of bits of bad news, couple of doubts for the weekend. Let's start with the headlines, and that's the injuries. We'll take them one by one. And just for those who aren't up to date, quickly, what's the deal with Stuart Findlay?
Okay, we'll do one by one. So Stuart Findlay,
or you could just run through them all quickly if you want.
Okay, so there is. Let's see. So Ageu, thigh injury, out for the season. Stuart Findlay needs an operation. Stuart Findlay, hamstring issue, out for 6 weeks. Hopefully we'll be back for the Motherwell game. Lauren Shankland, hopefully is like they're aiming for the Motherwell game, so his hamstring injury has been a wee bit longer than perhaps hoped for. Cammy Devlin, as Mark H.S. Dobson asked, when is Devlin back then? Can't be far away now. I think they're hoping for one of the games, ideally Kilmarnock after the break for the Scottish Cup. So that Kilmarnock game and the Dundee game. Stephen Kingsley's 3 weeks away. Benny, Ocean McEntee and Saba Krajota are all hopeful for this weekend. I think Benny McInnes says I think it's to do with his turning. So he had some work today and then tomorrow, and then he's going to be hopefully training on Friday. McEntee, the scan was positive, but he was going to see a specialist today, I think, just to kind of confirm what they've seen in the scan, and then they hope he'll be available for Saturday. Craig Gordon has he's got an issue with his other shoulder, and the scan wasn't positive. Craig Gordon feels that it's not as bad as the scan suggests, so McInnes thinks he might be out of the Scotland get-together in March. But again, it's I think he was going to go to see a specialist or get another scan, or they were looking at it more in depth. It was today or tomorrow, so they'll get a better idea of that. So yeah, there's some good news in there, some not so
Yeah, exactly. And Stuart
good news,
Findlay.
and then some just really.
Sorry. I think your internet's cutting out, or mine is. I'm not sure. I assume it's just me left here, unless I'm frozen and Joel's the only one talking. But he's brought up a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, that's me. I think it's. I don't know if it's an issue with my internet. I don't know if my internet's just completely gone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's where I think we're okay again now. There was this worrying moment where it's like, do I have to talk, or is it Joel that's the only one that's on? I was like, I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, so I mean, I just seen your screen go blank, and then my screen went blank. I was like, oh, I'm just talking here. So yeah, I was just Kingsley is. Kingsley was 3 weeks, I said, but I think I got through. I think I got through the list of injuries. So I don't know if you want to. We can go in more depth about some of them.
Yeah, so I was going to come in on Findlay because I suppose that's Ageu's maybe the headline, but Findlay in terms of players who've been playing, another first team regular, put it that way, who's now out. In some ways, it's a blow. In other ways, I think Hearts have got a perfectly good left-sided centre-back that's not played all season, and I would completely trust to come in and play well. I think the only thing he maybe doesn't have that Findlay has is the recovery pace. I mean, there are different players. There's a couple other bits and pieces, I guess, but and it could be. I mean, it could even be an issue at the weekend with Olisanya playing off the right for Aberdeen recently. He's quite quick, although I don't know if he was given that goal last weekend that he tried to steal off Kevin Nisbet, but I don't think he scored a goal yet other than that. So yeah, I think that'll be easy to cover for. And then I think another factor with the Stuart Findlay one is you probably couldn't have picked a better 6 weeks for him to miss, given that there aren't many games coming up.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely looking at it from a positive side. That is definitely the view on Findlay. Was that so? Just bringing both in, like Findlay, he's been a really important player. I know, like a couple of folk have mentioned. William Stevenson said you could see Findlay's been struggling last few weeks. MV Jambo says McCarthy's more than capable of replacement for Findlay, hasn't been at his best the past few games. So I can see that, but I don't know if there's a reason for that. Findlay maybe has been struggling the last couple of weeks just with injuries, not being at his best, but he's been a really important player across the season, and you can see why that Derek McInnes was so keen to bring him in at the start of the season, and his partnership with Craig Halkett, I think it's got a really nice balance to it. It's been really strong. He's played the most minutes in the league since. Most minutes for the team this season, I think, if I remember correctly. So it kind of just shows you the faith that McInnes has in him. But the one positive is that, well, two positives. You mentioned the fact that he's not missing too many games. It's a good kind of period to miss. But then you've got Jamie McCart, who McInnes really liked, and he was doing really well in pre-season. Then he got his injury. But we've seen last season that he's a really steady, strong left-sided centre-back where you're kind of, he makes you feel kind of comfortable. So that's the one thing I think you'll miss with Findlay, is maybe that pace, adds that balance to Craig Halkett. But yeah, I think you're, while not wanting to lose him, there is a bit of comfort there with the schedule and with Clark.
I am going to bring in a StatsBomb radar.
Oh, nice.
Here. So this compares Stuart Findlay this season to Jamie McCart last season, which I think is a fairer comparison. I mean, Stuart Findlay's played almost 3 times the minutes as McCart did last season, but it still gives you an idea. You can see that McCart wins as many per 90 minutes aerial wins, and actually has a slightly better aerial win percentage as well. And then there's a couple of things where each of them are slightly better and worse at. Findlay concedes fewer fouls and is a bit better at what was that one, being pressured? Oh, sorry, I had to look at these earlier. But basically, the defensive action on ball value he's better at, and that's just a collection of all these defensive actions and how much they increase the probability of his team not conceding a goal, basically. So his seems to be a bit better than McCart's there. But you've got to remember that they play in like different teams under different managers, different systems, all that kind of stuff as well. But it shows you that, and we know from seeing McCart last season that he is a perfectly good Scottish Premiership centre-back. And also in pre-season, Derek McInnes said that McCart was his best performing centre-back before the League Cup games got underway. Basically, I think he said that after they got back from Spain. So I think that it's one of the areas of the team that hasn't needed to be changed all season, but there's a perfectly good replacement. There's been a perfectly good replacement there all season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's slightly different. I think there's slightly different centre backs as kind of that diagram or stats the radar suggested, and it's one where you feel probably more comfortable as if teams are more direct against Hearts and crossing at the ball into the box. I think McCart is. You've seen him with those stats, very dominant in the air. So yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm gutted for Findlay. Gutted for Stuart Findlay to miss it, but comfortable with the situation. And Charlie Webb says here, fully confident in McCart coming in, has been excellent when given the chance. More importantly, is getting Shanks and Devlin back up to speed ASAP. Ideally, full fitness for the spot.
Yeah, a couple of other things that were on that radar that I didn't mention is that he gets McCart. According to that, gets dribbled past less and blocks more of the shots he faces as well. Let's move on to Ageu. This is a really difficult one. I mean, it seems to be like a really poor run of luck for him. I don't know. It's just like a really difficult one to talk about because of everything around it, the outlay, the hype. Clearly, he's a good player from the flashes that we've seen. It's just not been able to get any kind of sort of consistent game time, and to be ruled out until the start of next season. I mean, I think we were maybe already at the stage where we weren't going to see the best of him until next season anyway. But this is just, I really, really feel sorry for the guy.
That's it. So just taking out the human element of it, the personal side, and just focusing on the pitch. And it's one of those where it's not a bigger blow for Hearts as it could potentially have been, just because it's like you can't, because we've not seen the best of him. He's not been a regular first team player that's coming out of the team. So it's like Hearts have got to this point kind of without him, and you can't really miss what you've not really had. And then you've seen Blair Spittle stepping in, but when everyone's fit in the midfield, there's a good strength there. It's just really unfortunate we've not had him for this season and for the big games. On a personal level, and this is where we're seeing it on social media, where people are just like saying, cut ties with him, get rid of him. And I'm just thinking, let's just remember he doesn't want to be injured. And Derek McInnes came out, and it's like he said, he's absolutely gutted for him. He is like the players heartbroken. He's wanting to like really succeed. Speaking to people and speaking to McInnes over the last few months, he's desperate to succeed at Hearts and show fans why they've paid money for him. And it kind of goes back to what McInnes said at the event last night in terms of these guys see what's on social media, they read about it, and it's like I can understand the frustration and the fact that he's a record signing, but it's also just a guy who's really difficult, is in a difficult situation, and
away from home, a young guy away from home.
And he's on a 3-year contract. I understand that it's a lot of money, and he's not been there for this season. And it has been like a spate of injuries, but I'm not one to just go, right, let's just get rid of him in the summer. I think what he needs is a focus on getting back for pre-season and a full pre-season. Then you get him up to speed, and I feel for him because he's going to be kind of up against it not up against like kind of prove himself. There's just because already that he's not had an impact. There's going to be like about doubts, but I just feel really sorry for him, and I just like hope he gets because he gets the support that he needs. So and like the confidence he needs, because it's been a really difficult situation. So it's a shame. It's a shame.
And then to take it back to things on the park as well, with moving to that front three recently, and it looks like, I would guess, that's something that McInnes is going to play more often than not over the next few weeks. I suppose we've only got a couple of games over the next 4 weeks, but you know what I mean. Until Shanklin's back, I think that will be something that he'll play more often than not. That then means that you can get lots of different combinations with the midfield three and with all the different bodies. I mean, it was really going to be a chance for him to sort of make his mark. So it's disappointing in that respect as well.
Yeah, it is, and it does. It's like kind of like there's been a lot of focus on Ageu and Findlay, understandably so. But it's like McInnes, when he told us last night and then confirmed it today that Shanklin's not going to be back until the Motherwell game. I think that's as big a kind of blow as any. And because we spoke about him on Monday and how important he is and how desperate we are to see him back in a Hearts top and leading the line. So it means that going to have to find different solutions over the next few games. As we've seen, the team are more than capable. But that's definitely a sore on the Shanklin side.
Russell McLaughlin here says, at the end of the summer window, quite a few people, including us, he says, myself included, said our squad was too big and we needed to move some out. How wrong we were. Yes, I think we've had sort of similar conversations over the weeks. I remember at the start of the year, we're having a conversation that if Callum Neuenhoff was fit, he would be getting minutes, even though he looked like completely out of the picture at one point, given all the sort of, they had to go out and sign another central midfielder. And then the last one's Craig Gordon, but I suppose, while it's like, we wish him as well as the others, it's less of an impact on the team, because other than I think it seems more of an issue for Scotland than it does for Hearts. Not that they don't play important roles when it comes to training and the warm-ups that they do before the game and the support that they give each other and all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to downplay the other roles of sub and third choice goalkeepers, but other than the Celtic game, it seems that Schwolo's going to is the number one, is the established number one, so it doesn't have quite as much of an impact, the Craig Gordon injury.
No, it doesn't, but it's one where we are in the season and where we are in the league. I want McInnes to have a much harder job picking the team, because there's too many options. And
yeah.
And I think it was Brian McLaughlin asked him today, and he talked about Gordon in relation to World Cup, and McInnes kind of paraphrased and was like, we're not really looking at the World Cup, because it's essentially we want him back as soon as possible to be available. So that's because you're now only one injury away with a goalkeeper, Schwolo, to turn around and having a situation like it was last season, where it was Ryan Fulton and then a half-fit Xander Clark on the bench, and from having 10, having loads of goalkeepers, it kind of down to the bare bones again. So it's not like like the Findlay injury. It's not the worst news in the world for the team, but it's far from ideal. That's for certain. Far from ideal.
Charlie Webb asks, here's Neuenhoff close to availability. No, I was just using him as an example, and then he says, would he get a game anyway? If everybody's fit, or if enough people are fit, I wouldn't say so, but he started quite well in the League Cup group stages, and I think had he been fit and given the injuries and suspensions and things like that Hearts have had in the centre midfield, I think he would have had a chance at some point this season if he had been fit. I'm pretty sure. Do you want to go into any other of the team news or anything else from today, Joel?
No, I don't think so. Just to bring in a couple of questions. Does Ageu have a lot of injuries with his previous clubs? I've looked into this. I've not seen a history of injuries or anything like that. He played a fair bit of football the last 2 seasons before coming to Hearts. So I really do think it's just been really unfortunate. Really unfortunate that is what's happened to him.
It's different injuries, isn't it? Has it not been like the two? Is it the two different
hamstrings? Two different hamstrings and thigh, yeah,
and a thigh. So it's not like it's not like it's the same thing happening over and over again. So it
Yeah.
seems like, I mean, I'm not an expert in these things, but it does seem like bad luck to me, rather than Hearts have been duped into signing him, or he, I don't know, he has a persistent issue or something like that. It doesn't seem like that to me anyway. Any other comments?
Yeah, just James Govan. Is McInnes one of the best audience-speaking managers you have met? Absolutely. I think that's. I think Stephen Naismith was really good. Just from my short experience, but McInnes is really, really good. I think it was just you kind of hanging off his every word, and you can just that experience that really comes across. Personable touch, funny, insightful, just everything you kind of want.
I totally agree. I've got one to bring in. You go. There you go. That's exactly what I was about to bring in. Somebody's got back to us about this picture.
Yeah, it's just Bill Bothwick says the pictures from local artist Lynn Hanley. None on her website just now, but she may do additional prints for those looking.
Something else from last night that somebody said to me afterwards, and I forgot because of in my state, but somebody said they didn't want to be a smart arse when Colin Cameron asked the audience if he'd ever missed a penalty, and this guy reckons he missed one against Fulham in a friendly. I don't know if he told me the year, but he said he thought Dave Besant saved it. So we'll need to ask Colin Cameron if he remembers missing a penalty.
He doesn't, because I asked him last night. He doesn't.
Oh, did you? I couldn't remember if you were there when the guy told us.
I was, so I'd asked him, but I need to look.
Conveniently doesn't remember.
Yeah. And just finally, Paul Green says I need some Hearts background props like Craig. I absolutely do. I've got loads of shirts that I need to get framed and put on the back wall. And there's a couple of questions saying that it was my internet that was the issue, and I'm fully aware of this. My office is a dead zone for internet. So apologies for that connection issue.
All good. We rarely have issues like that, to be fair. But it was a worrying moment for him. Just didn't know whether I was talking to, like, I had to talk, or whether I was talking, but I was just talking to myself because I was the one who had cut out. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for persisting with us despite those internet issues. If you like what we do, get over to heartstandard.co.uk and please give us a subscribe if you can. A like does go a long way as well. We'll be back with the predicted 11 at some point later on in the week, and then we'll be back after the game on Saturday. And until those shows, we will see you then.